90s hitmakers, the Goo Goo Dolls, are back with a new album. It's called Chaos in Bloom, and here is lead singer John Rzeznik with his reaction to the good reviews that this new record is receiving.
I'm surprised. It's going.
Why is that?
I don't know, because I'm used to getting shit on by the press, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, so far it's been overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, very good. So this is the first one where you had a say in you worked as a producer as well as all the other stuff that you do. So what brought that on?
I didn't want to work with anybody else, you know.
enough.
I wanted to bring in people who would work under me, and I wanted to have the final say of everything. And I had a very clear idea about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say. And I, unfortunately, I have a tendency to really burn producers out.
Right.
So I wound up working for the last like 3 albums. I would do like 3 songs with one guy, 3 songs with somebody else, 3 songs with somebody, and that doesn't work.
Right.
I just because there's no the only continuity in that the common denominator in all of that was me. So I was like, well, you know, just do it. Just do it.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. Just do it. You know.
So you say you have a clear idea of
And,
what you wanted to do and what you wanted it to sound like. Elaborate on that, please.
I wanted it to be a bit more organic sounding, which you know, I was like combing through YouTube, listening to live performances of stuff, and I'm just like, you know, there's a push-pull between people playing live together, between us playing live together, especially the bass and the drums.
Right.
So it was my goal to get 3 of us or 4 of us in a room and just play. And it's like, okay, well, we're in this recording studio. We're just gonna keep rolling and recording. And if we have to do 35 or 40 passes at getting the bass and drums right, and hopefully some piano and some guitar, then fine. I wanted it to have a you know, a more breathing sort of quality to it, you know, like live, you know.
Right.
There's an interplay. People play together a certain way, and most modern production is very assembly line, and it's very like, well, we're going to put the drums on, now we're going to edit the shit out of them.
Yep.
You know, and then we're going to tune all the vocals way too much, and then we're going to do, you know, and you know, there's a little bit of that touch-up work that goes on along the way, because, you know, you get it close and then you're like, you know, just hit that note there or whatever. But I didn't want to get into this elaborate process of like editing, and you know, I wanted it to sound like a band, you know.
Right. Now, with that in mind, I mean, the band is really you and Robbie these days.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You've got other folks obviously playing, a guy named Craig playing drums, and
yeah, Craig McIntyre's
pretty cool, you know, session cats in there as well. So
yeah, no, it was fun, but I chose who I worked with on every song. You know, it's like,
right.
You know, and there were people who I love and respect, and I think that they're amazing, and I thought that they were better qualified to play the guitar on certain songs than I was, so brought them in and like tried to keep my ego out of the process as much as possible, even though, you know, it is a product of ego.
Yep. Sure. Yeah.
You know, and but just really tried to keep in mind what's the most important thing for the song, you know. And I wanted to be able to have the time to do what I wanted to do. If I had to spend hours searching for a song or a tone on the guitar, it's like I want to be able to, because I have a humongous collection of vintage recording equipment and microphones and all this crazy stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to use it, you know. I want to use it. It's like most guys, most engineers and producers, they're just like, no. This is what I do. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't want to do that. I want to try 10 microphones, 10 guitars, 10 amps, 10 pedals.
Yep.
And I don't want to hear shit from anybody. So you know, it worked out. And I also had this, after the whole pandemic thing, just I had a certain, I was sort of instilled with this kind of boldness about, like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to do it. And, irrespective of the outcome, just do it. Just go for it. I'm happy with what happened.
Now, speaking of guitars, the final track is called Superstar. There's a pretty cool guitar solo there. Is that you or somebody else?
That is me, yeah.
Oh, good on you.
I was qualified to play that one, but there's a song called "You Are the Answer" that it's a crazy bass player who's so good. A guy named John Button. He plays bass with the Who, and he came in and played bass on that, and a guy named Jay Soda, who's like an LA very sort of hip indie rock guy, owns this crazy recording studio that I love, and I worked there a lot. And so he came in and played the guitar solo on that song because he just has he's got this really greasy 70s vibe,
Right.
and so I was into it. It's just he had the right feel for that. So
Everybody loves that 70s sound, don't they? That's
yeah,
the thing that everybody's, and I see you guys you cover a Tom Petty song every once in a while in your live shows, so I'm assuming there's an influence there as well. So elaborate on that if you don't mind.
yeah. I mean, it's like I never had a favorite artist
Yep.
until now, which is like when I just rediscovered the whole Tom Petty catalog
Right.
and listening to it, and just it inspired me in a lot of ways because he took a lot of chances as his career progressed.
Yep.
He went from working with Jimmy Iovine, working with Dave Stewart, which
Yep.
was
Yep.
really a complete, like, I'm sure a lot of people were like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then
Absolutely.
working with the most commercially successful stuff, I guess, would be the Jeff Lynne
Right.
stuff.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And then flipping that and then going to work with Rick Rubin,
There you go.
it's like, well, he kind of inspired me, just through the albums to just go for it.
Right. Right. Now the album opens with a track called "Yeah, I Like You," which I remember seeing when the video came out. There was like some hubbub, and you guys put out some kind of disclaimer, or it was bizarre.
All this bullshit. It was like, they thought it would be funny. The director thought it would be funny, so we were like, yeah, okay, sure, we'll do it. It'll be funny.
Right.
Like, it was unbelievable because everybody was just blowing my phone up, going, what's this all about? What did that guy do?
Yeah.
And but it's just funny. So,
But there was some pushback. I read the comments that people were making. It's like, why are they doing this?
that's like, you know what? Being affected by the comment section is like being driven crazy by lint in your pocket.
I like that. Very good. But what can you tell me about what inspired the song itself? It was obviously you had something to say there.
Turn my life into a hurricane. Kill the paranoia in my brain. 'Cause I want what you got and you got what I want. And I like you.
I don't know, social media celebrity is just sort of it is what it is. And, it's not my thing. I don't think it's a healthy thing to get too deep into,
Right.
or aspiring to that kind of thing. But I don't, like, I certainly, I just think so much of it is ridiculous. It's just like, what are you famous for? That was the point of that song. It's like, it's just like, I have no idea what you do, but I like you and I'm fascinated by this, but I don't want to be part of it.
Right. Are you a political animal? Is that you pay attention to all that stuff? Do you have
I pay
opinions?
attention very, very closely. I don't know if I am, I mean, it's things are pretty weird here now, though, politically, and you can't, you know, you it's very difficult to speak your mind.
Right.
I'd be honest, you know, because there's a certain faction of people in this country who are legitimately dangerous
Right. And armed.
and armed, very armed,
Everybody's
and very dangerous, and it's like, and that's another thing about social media. I mean, I think that it's really, really asking us a question of what are the limits of free speech? When does free speech, when does one person's free speech impede another person's freedom of expression? So, and what do we do when we bump up against those two things? And what, you know, and I don't, and I think that it has just destroyed civil, discourse,
Yep.
because and
You
an
can't talk to anybody without offending them.
well, yeah, that's true too, but there are also a lot of unbelievably offensive people,
That's true.
out there, and there's a certain amount of purge that comes from this anonymity. It's kind of like, it's kind of like the guy that gets drunk and starts mouthing off.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, what are they going to do to me? I'm just sitting in my room, But it's like, I don't engage in it. I mean, I have somebody that does my social media thing for me.
Sure.
I don't go on myself because it's like if I dive into that comment section, I can't respond. You know what I mean?
Yep, I can see
can't
what would happen.
not
Oh, there we
respond.
go.
You can tell me my band sucks all day long, and I will just whatever. Who cares?
Yep.
But don't talk about my wife, my friends, or anything.
Yep.
Like,
Now you have a tune called "Loving Life," which you
I didn't
wrote-
write that. That's Robbie's song.
Yeah, you co-wrote with Robbie. So that was leading me to my question about how is the relationship between you and Robbie developed and evolved over the years, since you're kind of the two guys that have been there since the beginning.
I see the sunbeam shine the light with all the shadows gone from sight, and I really hope you believe in love and life.
I mean, we both know what our role in this is, and we've both sort of, adapted to it and decided it's more important that, we stick together than break up. So, I mean,
Right.
so, you make it work. You compromise and you find what works. Nobody's getting 100% of what they want, but that's the nature of compromise.
Yep.
That's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And you have another tune called "Day After Day," which is has some interesting lyric all about fiction's true and blah blah blah. So obviously, it's kind of based around what's going on in current affairs, if nothing else.
All the fears came out tonight and drew the lines in black and white. All the fiction's true, they said. It's getting hard to get out of my head.
I was really disturbed when, a few years ago, someone came out and they're like, well, no, we have, and I'm not mentioning any names,
Okay.
actually came out on the news and said, well, we have a set of alternative facts.
Right. That's disturbing.
But I don't think people realized what a paradigm shift that caused.
Yep.
And then the constant barrage of alternative facts, and it's like, whether it's from the left or the right or whatever, or, some crazy QAnon bullshit or whatever, it's just, we're all standing around scratching our heads going, what is the truth?
Yep.
What is the truth? The truth is the truth. It's not there is no nuance, in fact and truth. And we need to realize that again.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it's not just a thing that's happening in the States. everywhere, including New Zealand. Here we have similar issues with pockets of people who are kind of having their own truth as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the world has just I was reading a lot about the Industrial Revolution and how it changed society from being, more agricultural into like condensing these enormous populations into tiny little areas and causing this huge disruption. I believe that we're still in the infancy of what the internet and all that is going to have. But I don't believe that human evolution is keeping up with technological development or revolution. And I think it's I worry about the obsolescence of human beings.
I think that's something to indeed worry about. Yes.
Well, because work and relationships and human touch and belonging and all these things, social media is a cheap imitation of that, but it still hits your dopamine, and it's not healthy. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's just, we need to be nurtured and we need to belong. We need to have purpose. Work gives me purpose in my life.
Well, keep working then.
Me?
Thank you. I think we're running out of time here, so we got to wrap it up, unfortunately. But come down to New Zealand when you get a chance. We'd love to see you.
I would love to come down to New Zealand.